Mitt Romney just gave a speech where he decried the prairie fire of U.S. debt. And he took on President Obama in forceful terms, and I'm going to take him on in far more forceful terms. In fact, what I'm going to give him is facts, which was sorely lacking in his speech. So let's go to Mitt Romney's speech. Here's his first line of attack.
Now, the people of Iowa and of America have watched President Obama nearly 4 years now, much of that time with Congress controlled by his own party. And rather than putting out that spending fire, he's been feeding it. He has spent more and borrowed more. When you add up all of his policies, by the way, this president has increased the national debt by $5 trillion.
All right, spent more and actually increased the deficit. All these terrible things that President Obama did. All right, Mitt Romney, let me introduce you to facts. First of all, for example, when President George W. Bush took office in the year 2000, actually in 01, in January, he had a $281 billion surplus. Surplus. When he left office, when President Obama came in January of 2009, there was a $1.2 trillion deficit. Okay? Now, a lot of the commercials that Romney's advocates have been running right now says, can you believe Obama's got us at a $1.3 or $1.4 trillion deficit? Yeah, given that Bush and the Republicans handed him a $1.2 trillion deficit and a horrible, stunning recession, I almost can't believe that the deficit is only 1.3 or 1.4 trillion. How in the world could you do a gigantic stimulus? How can you get jobs recovering again and still keep the deficit to a manageable degree? That's what's unbelievable. Now, you want to see real unbelievable stats? Look at this, okay? All that nonsense talk about how President Obama has outspent and et cetera, watch. Let me show you a chart here. It's got three different things on it. First of all, annual federal spending. As a percentage of gross domestic product, and that's how you judge it based on how those years were, what was our GDP and then what was our spending. Well, when President Obama got into office, we were spending 24.9% of our GDP. Now we are down. Am I clear enough on that? Down to 23.4% of our GDP in government spending. So government spending proportionally has gone down. Not up, but down. Am I making it clear enough? Are the numbers clear enough for you, Mitt Romney and the rest of the Republicans? Now, I'm not a fan of that. I think President Obama did too much austerity. I think it might even cost him the election. But to say that he overspent is just not factual. It's counterfactual. Now, the second bar graph that you saw there. Well, that's annual federal revenue. Well, annual federal tax revenue, because we hear, oh my God, he's taxing us to death, taxes. No, annual federal tax revenue was actually higher under George W. Bush. It was 16.5% of GDP. Now it is 15.8% of GDP. Taxes are lower. I'm trying to make this clear. Taxes are lower under Obama, okay? Now, again, I'm not a fan of that. I don't know why he keeps doing Republican ideas. If I was president, I would have made taxes higher and I would have stimulated the economy more so we could create more jobs, which I think would actually help the budget, not hurt the budget. So, but to say that he overtaxed you or he overspent is counterfactual. It is not true. There's another word for that. It's called a lie. Now, how about the deficit? Well, come on, the deficit is out of control. Mitt Romney just told me, he keeps telling me over and over again. Look at the third bar graph there. Annual budget deficit. As a percentage of GDP, when President Obama took office, President Bush handed him 8.3% of GDP deficit. Now it is down to 7.6% of GDP. So the deficit proportionally is down. It is lower. It is not higher under Obama. Those are rock hard facts, okay? When the Republicans can tell you all day long about how they love to balance the budget and they're so great at it, et cetera, that's also not true. I'm going to get to that in a second. And when they tell you President Obama always tax and spend, not true. Not true. All right, second part of Romney's speech here.
I will lead us out of this debt and spending inferno. We will stop borrowing unfathomable sums of money we can't even imagine from foreign countries we're never even going to visit. I will work with you to make sure we put out this spending and borrowing fire.
Wrong again, Bob. According to the Tax Policy Center, which is nonpartisan, Mitt Romney's proposals would create a $3.4 trillion deficit on top of what we already have. That is not something that's, oh, well, you know, we already had a deficit. No, he's adding $3.4 trillion to the deficit. But it gets better. He would also repeal the Bush tax cuts. Well, and these are just over 10 years. We're not talking about infinite. We're just 10 years, right? Well, if you keep the Bush tax cuts, that adds another $5.4 trillion to the deficit. So total cost of Mitt Romney's budget is a deficit increase of $8.8 trillion. $8.8 trillion. He does not balance the budget. He doesn't come anywhere close. In fact, he makes the deficit much, much worse. Why? Because of gigantic tax cuts, the great majority of which goes to the rich. He's lowering the tax rates 20% across the board for the top bracket from 35% to 28%. He's taking away the estate tax. He's lowering every kind of corporate tax you could imagine. Of course, it's going to destroy our budget. But he keeps saying in the speech over and over again, well, spending equals deficit, spending equals deficit. No, the budget isn't just spending, it's revenue and spending. And that's what he doesn't want you to know, because meanwhile, he's taking out all that money that's going to the middle class from the budget and giving it to the very, very, very rich. That's Mitt Romney's proposal.